Intermittent fasting can provide many important health benefits, from improving your insulin-leptin sensitivity to helping your body more effectively burn fat for fuel. It's one of the most effective ways I've found to shed excess weight for these two reasons. That notion is held up by recent research published in the journal Cell Metabolism, in which researchers concluded that time-restricted eating not only prevented but also reversed obesity and related metabolic dysfunction. Even more remarkably, this was true even when the diet was less than ideal. Time-restricted eating is my personal favorite of the many intermittent fasting schedules available. I believe it can be very helpful for those in need of shedding a few extra pounds and who have insulin and leptin resistance, which is the majority of the American population. The reason many people have struggles with their weight, aside from eating processed foods that have been grossly altered from their natural state, is because they're in continuous feast mode and rarely ever go without a meal. As a result, their bodies have adapted to burning sugar as its primary fuel, which downregulates the enzymes that utilize and burn stored fat. Fasting is an excellent way to reboot your metabolism so your body can start burning fat as its primary fuel, which will help you shed your unwanted fat stores. Once your insulin resistance improves and you are normal weight, you can start eating more frequently, as by then you will have re-established your body's ability to burn fat for fuel. That's the key to sustained weight management. Intermittent fasting as a therapeutic intervention. To evaluate the effectiveness of different time-restricted feeding schedules on weight and metabolic function, the researchers divided adult male mice into 4 groups, each of which was fed a specific diet. 1. High-fat diet, 2. High-fructose diet, 3. High-fat and high-fructose diet, 4. Regular mouse kibble. In each of these 4 diet groups, half of the mice were allowed to eat whenever they wanted during waking hours, ad libitum, while the other half only had access to food during a restricted period of time of 8, 9, 12, or 15 hours per day. The experiment lasted for 38 weeks. At the end, the mice that ate at all hours had become obese and suffered with metabolic dysfunctions, while the mice restricted to eating within an 8, 9, or 12-hour window remained thin and healthy. This was true even for select groups of mice that were permitted to cheat on weekends, and eat any time they wanted. Mice that were switched from an ad libitum schedule to a restricted eating schedule midway through the experiment also shed some of the excess weight they'd accumulated, as reported by the New York Times. Another intermittent fasting schedule is the 5-2 plan, as popularized by Dr. Michael Mosley and his fast diet. Here, you're allowed to eat normally 5 days a week and only fast on 2. On fasting days, you restrict the eating to 600 calories or less for men, and 500 calories or less for women. This kind of restricted eating plan has been shown to have similar effects and benefits as continuous modest calorie restriction, which includes weight loss, improved insulin sensitivity, and improvements in other biomarkers for health. In some cases it may even be more effective. How and why intermittent fasting works. Again and again, researchers have concluded that fasting, which includes not only eating less food overall, but also eating less frequently, can have a beneficial effect on a wide array of biological functions and systems. In 2013, one review found a broad range of therapeutic potential of intermittent fasting, even when total calorie intake per day did not change, or was only slightly reduced. Studies included in the review produced evidence that intermittent fasting may. As noted, one of the reasons for these health benefits relate to the fact that the human body appears to be designed to thrive in a cycle of feast and famine. By imitating the ancestral conditions of cyclical nourishment, your body enters into a state of optimal functioning. 3 major mechanisms by which fasting benefit your health include: 1. Increased insulin sensitivity and mitochondrial energy efficiency. Fasting increases insulin sensitivity along with mitochondrial energy efficiency, and thereby retards aging and disease, which are typically associated with loss of insulin sensitivity and declined mitochondrial energy. 2. Reduced oxidative stress. Fasting decreases the accumulation of oxidative radicals in the cell, and thereby prevents oxidative damage to cellular proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids associated with aging and disease. 3. Increased capacity to resist stress, disease and aging. Fasting induces a cellular stress response, similar to that induced by exercise, in which cells upregulate the expression of genes that increase the capacity to cope with stress and resist disease and aging. Who might benefit from exercising on an empty stomach, and why? The cyclical availability of food in ancient times also meant that our ancestors had to engage in physical activities, sometimes strenuous, without having anything to eat first. Modern research now confirms that this, too, has biological benefits, and that our obsession with keeping our bellies full at all times, especially if we are about to do physical work, may not be the ideal approach for all people all the time. It's an ongoing debate within the world of fitness: should you eat breakfast before exercising in the morning, and are there any benefits to working out on an empty stomach? It all depends on what type of training you are going to do and for what purpose. Exercisers with weight loss goals might find an advantage in waking up and exercising first thing in the morning before eating breakfast, or fasting for a few hours before a midday or evening workout. The less glucose you have in your system, the more fat you will burn. However, if your goals are performance-related, for example to improve strength or speed, working out without fueling up probably isn't your best bet, because a lack of available energy might prevent you from putting forth your best effort. Intermittent fasting and high-intensity exercise is a potent combo for weight loss. When it comes to shedding unwanted pounds and reworking your fat-to-muscle ratio, high-intensity interval training combined with intermittent fasting is a winning combination that's hard to beat. When you combine these two strategies, especially if you exercise in a fasted state, it effectively forces your body to shed fat, because your body's fat-burning processes are activated by exercise and lack of food. The good news is that you don't have to keep on intermittently fasting forever if it doesn't appeal to you long-term. Also, if you are already your ideal weight, then there really isn't much need to exercise fasting, as it will limit your performance. If you need to lose 50 pounds, you're looking at about 6 months or so of intermittent fasting, after which you can revert back to eating more regularly. My only caveat is that you also need to pay attention to the quality of the food you eat. Since both high-intensity interval training and intermittent fasting help shift your body from burning sugar to burning fat as its primary fuel, it's important to feed your body the right nutrients. Even on non-fasting days, I believe it's important to eat a diet that is high in healthy fats and very low in fructose and other sugars. Those with insulin and leptin resistance will likely benefit from getting 50 to 85% of their daily calories in the form of healthy fat from avocados, organic grass-fed butter, pastured egg yolks, coconut oil, and raw nuts such as macadamia, pecans, and pine nuts. Avoid processed foods, as most are very high in fructose and other health-harming ingredients, including harmful trans fats. If you're insulin leptin resistant, and/or have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease, or are overweight, you'd be wise to limit your total fructose consumption to 15 grams per day. For all others, the recommended daily allowance of fructose is 25 grams per day for optimal health. Moderate amounts of high-quality protein from organically raised, grass-fed or pastured animals. Most will likely not need more than 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body weight, which for most people would equate to somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 80 grams of protein per day. If you're pregnant or exercising intensely, you would need about 25% more. Unrestricted amounts of fresh vegetables, ideally organic. Making these dietary shifts, and adding 2 or 3 weekly sessions of high-intensity exercises is, I believe, a solid strategy for reaching your weight loss and fitness goals. Also, if you're hesitant to try fasting for fear you'll be ravenously hungry all the time, you'll be pleased to know that intermittent fasting will virtually eliminate hunger and sugar cravings,